Hi, welcome to Solomon Says, a division of Hebrew Wizards. I'm here to teach you everything that you need to know about being Jewish so that you too can become a wizard. Hi, I made this board just for you. The Holiday of Passover, Hagaddah Pesach. So Passover is a holiday that we celebrate freedom, and we recognize what it was like to be slaves in Egypt and to remember what it felt like to walk in somebody else's shoes. So we remember with compassion and empathy what our ancestors went through when they were slaves during the book of Exodus. So let's talk a little bit about the Seder plate and the 6 symbols to remember Passover. We'll do them in Hebrew and English so that you can see. Sometimes you might have 5 symbols, but in this particular Seder plate, we have 6. And these are the Seder plate. And we've got a kos of wine, or a cup of wine, and some matzahs, 3 matzahs there. So here we go. Let's look at the first one, which is a roasted egg. Beitzah. Beitzah is egg. Maror is bitter herbs. And shank bone is zeroah. Zeroah is shank bone. Chazeret is horseradish. Charoset is charoset was the mortar, the mortar look-alike. Karpas are the greens. So let's talk a little bit about what these symbolize and why it's important. So the karpas symbolizes the springtime, the green, and life. And the zeroah, which is the shank bone, symbolizes the lamb offering and sacrifice. And the maror symbolizes the Jews' bitter time as slaves because it's bitter herbs. And the beitzah symbolizes the birth and the roundness and the completeness of life. And the charoset symbolizes the mortar used to make the bricks. And sometimes we like to make our own wizard's recipe filled with chopped apples and walnuts and cinnamon and wine and anything else that you can make this into a little dip where we can remember what it felt like to make the bricks and put them into pyramids. So here is the story. I like to use this Holiday of Passover board in place of using a Hagaddah because this is a wonderful story. It has so many things to offer, and it's not long and boring sometimes as a Seder might be for us young kids that are listening to it. So we try to make it as interactive as possible, and we start with talking a little bit about each thing. So here's the Exodus from Egypt. About 3,000 years ago, the Jews were slaves in Egypt, as you can see by the pyramids, under the rule of Pharaoh, or Ramses II. And baby Moses was found on the Nile by Pharaoh's daughter and adopted to become the Prince of Egypt. And if you haven't seen the movie Prince of Egypt, I totally think that you should go and see it because it's a great animated Disney film that's really fun. So Pharaoh's daughter finds Moses, and the reason that Moses was on the Nile was that Pharaoh had ordered all of the Jewish people to take their firstborn male and throw the babies into the Nile, destroy the babies basically, so that the Jews would not populate Egypt and not take over the palaces and not take over Pharaoh's rule. So one mother decided there is no way that she can give away her baby. So she hid her baby and finally put it in a little basket. In the Torah, they use the word little ark, the same word that they use for the word ark in Noah's Ark, which makes us believe that Moses knew there would be a new start of a new world by floating in that same ark as he was found by Pharaoh's daughter. And after struggling times, knowing that he was not Egyptian, wasn't sure if he was Jewish as he was adopted, he ran away and found a wonderful tribe to live in Midian. And he fell in love with one of the daughters. And this wonderful tribe pretty much adopted him as one of their own. And then one day, God came to Moses as a burning bush, a bush that would not consume. And God called down to Moses and said, "Moses, I need you to do me a favor." And Moses couldn't believe that he was being asked to do something for God. Who was he? Was he righteous enough to be able to do something for save the Jewish people? God says, "I want you to go to Pharaoh, and I want you to know that your brother Aaron and your sister Miriam will help you, and I want you to free the Jewish people from Egypt and bring them to the promised land, a land that I will show you, just like I showed Abraham when I told Abraham back in the stories of Genesis." So as you can imagine, Moses didn't even know he had a brother named Aaron and didn't even know he had a sister named Miriam. And this is the wonderful story where the journey of the Jewish people becomes apparent. So of course, Moses goes over to Pharaoh and says, "Let my people go." And you know exactly what happened after that. No, 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 I will not let your people go. Here are the 10 plagues that were unleashed on the land of Egypt to all the Egyptians and the Egyptian cattle, but were not unleashed on the Israelis who lived in the land of Egypt. Dam, blood. Tsifardea, frogs. Kinim, lice. Arov, wild animals. Dever, cattle disease. Shechin are boils. Barad are hail. Arba are locusts. Choshech are darkness. And Makat Bechorot are killing of the firstborn. Let's see how fast you can learn these, memorize these. These are really, really great, and we always remember in our Seder that when we're taking from our wine, we take our pinky. For every 10 plagues, for all of the plagues, we take 1 drop of wine out of our glass. And that symbolizes that we will always be sorry that we had to do these terrible things to the Egyptians. We take a little bit of our sweetness out of our own glass in order to recognize that we've had to hurt somebody else. So here's a song that's a great way to learn the 10 plagues. And you let me know if you like that and if that was helpful for you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land. Blood in the water made the river run red.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Pharaoh should have listened to what God said.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Frogs were jumping in Pharaoh's hair.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
Pharaoh didn't like it, but the frogs didn't care.
10 plagues in Egypt land.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues in Egypt land.
Finally, after the last plague, Makat Bechorot, the killing of the firstborn, Pharaoh was furious. He was so upset. And the Jewish people had to hurry to escape Pharaoh, and they're rushed. They didn't have time to let their bread rise. So we eat matzah to remember the Jewish people in the exodus from Egypt. This is why we have matzah. They were in a rush. Pharaoh had commanded them to leave and then actually changed his mind. And then as the Jewish people, and we're talking 2 million Jewish people, were exiting out of Egypt, as Moses and Miriam and Aaron led the way for the exodus out of Egypt, they came to the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds. And the great miracle is, as they sat there and stood there on the banks of the Red Sea, it was only Nachshon, the lone soldier, that took the first step towards the waters and said, "I believe," and took the first steps, and it was at that point that the miracle of the Red Sea occurred. The miracle of the Red Sea reminds us that we need to take responsibilities for our own miracles, and it's only then when God acts as our partner, and that's when miracles happen together. It's our actions, it's our first steps towards moving forward and making a difference. So we celebrate our freedom story with the Micha Mocha, a wonderful song that we sing. And let's say the words together. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nora tihilot oseh feleh. There is no one like you, O God, ruler of the world, who has created this incredible time and a miracle for us to appreciate freedom. So again, the Hagaddah tells us the story of the Passover story and God freeing the people from slavery. And the word Seder means order, and everything is in a prearranged order. And if you recognize that word, it comes from the root word is Seder, which is order, and Sidor is our prayer book, because our prayer book is arranged in a prearranged order. And did you know that the afikomen means dessert? And there are 3 matzahs, and the middle matzah is broken in half, and all of the children try to discover where it's hidden. Sometimes we know that the holiday of Passover is near Easter, and as our Easter egg hunt happens, we like to have our afikomen hunt, maybe to keep the children occupied and so they don't feel a little jealous that the other children are doing something that's fun. So during our long Seder, and we do lots of different things to keep the children occupied. Maybe we'll put on a play about the story of Exodus. Maybe somebody will dress up as Pharaoh and Moses and baby Moses and show us what it felt like to go through the Red Sea and the miracles that happened and the escape as the Egyptians started to come closer. So here's a wine, a kos yayin, a wine glass, and we drink 4 cups of wine. And why do we have 4 cups of wine? Well, it's said that the 4 cups of wine represent the 4 verbs in the Torah that describe how God helped the children of Israel. The first one is Hotzeti. Hotzeti, to bring us out. Hotzeti, to bring us out as God brought us out of Egypt. The next one is Hitzalti, to save us. God saved us from Egyptian bondage. The next one is Ga'alti. Ga'alti is to redeem us, as God allowed us to regain our freedom as Jewish people. The last one is Lakachti. He took us out. God took us and allowed us to survive in the desert. And there's a 5th cup, and this is left for Elijah. Here's Elijah. Kos Eliyahu, or cup of Elijah. And that last 5th verb is called Heveti, to bring us to, as we hope God brought us to the land of Israel. We remember that we have the opportunity as the chosen people to be honorable, respectable, and to remember where we came from. So the youngest child asked the 4 questions. And I know that we have a 4 questions, Solomon says, and you'll see on the 4 questions how to say the 4 questions. You can also go on the app, Wanna Be a Wizard, at Hebrew Wizards on the iTunes, in the app section. And the youngest child asked the 4 questions because they count too. Why is this night different from all other nights? The wise wizard says we celebrate Passover to remind us to be thankful for freedom because God freed us from slavery in Egypt. So where does the holiday get its name, Passover? The holiday of Passover derived its name when the Jewish people placed a red marking, the blood of the lamb, on their doorposts as the angel of death would pass over their home and not harm them. And that is where we get the name Passover, as the angel of death passed over the Jewish homes to spare them of the tragedy of killing the firstborn, which is the 10th plague. The order of the plagues, as you see, go in ascending order, where this is the hardest one to deal with, and it's almost impossible to live without water as well. So these are very, very important when we think about these 10 things. There are many things that we have in 10s. We have 10 plagues, which are these. We have 10 commandments. We have a minion of 10, which is enough people to change the world, to change the way people think in the community. We have 10 fingers and 10 toes. These are things that happen in 10s. So I hope that this was helpful in learning about the holiday of Passover. Please refer to the Hebrew Wizards channel, and you will learn more about all the different other Solomon Says boards we have to offer. But this is the holiday of Passover, and hope it was helpful. See you next time on Solomon Says.
I wanna be a wizard, yeah, that's what I wanna be.